I'm getting tired of making these videos. I feel like every couple of days we're talking about a YouTuber, a live streamer, a celebrity, somebody doing some wild, messed up. So in this situation, we have a YouTuber out of the UK by the name of Young Philly who also makes music. I found him through Sidemen videos. I've never really watched his personal content. I've done a reaction to some of his music, but when he works with the Sidemen, I watch it. I feel like he's funny. The 20 vs. 1 was one of my favorite, except now it seems like my man done got himself into
We begin with breaking news, and a popular musician and YouTuber from the UK known as Young Philly has been extradited from Queensland to WA, accused of serious assault allegations following an incident in Perth. Straight to our reporter, Rachel Clifford, for the details. Rachel, the 29-year-old, has been charged with multiple offences.
Lara, they are serious offences. He's facing 4 counts of penetration without consent, 3 counts of assault occasioning bodily harm, and 1 count of impeding another person's normal breathing or circulation. Detectives from the Sex Assault Squad say the 29-year-old man a woman in her 20s in his Perth hotel room after he performed at an event in Hillary's on September 28. The man, a well-known DJ from the UK, Andre Felipe Valencia Barrentos, also known as Young Philly, was taken into custody in Brisbane and extradited to Perth last night under police custody. He'll face Perth Magistrates Court today, and Lara, officers are asking anyone with further information to contact Crime Stoppers.
Now, before we go any further, I just want to make it clear this is not a video to defend him, and it's also not a video to crucify him. We got to see how things play out, see what information comes forward. It's not looking that good, though. So while I was looking around trying to find some more information about the situation, I did come across an article where the prosecution presented what they described as extremely strong evidence, including CCTV footage and photographs of the woman's injuries, which they argued were inconsistent with consensual acts. If they have CCTV footage that backs up the claims, and there's also photographs of the woman's body, and it seems to be inconsistent with consensual acts, it's likely that the shit is not going to go in his favor when all this goes down. Now, it also seems like they were worried a little bit about giving him bail because they were concerned that if he left the country, they'd have a hard time getting him back, given all the money, the fame, popularity, like all that kind of stuff that can play into it and kind of help you stay away, or he can go to a country where they can't extradite him from. So they wanted to keep him there. They did end up giving him bail, but they made sure that one of the conditions is that he does not leave Australia. And the only reason I found this out was because I saw a tweet from HS Tiki Taki where he said this.
Too tempted to touch minors, too tempted to get inside her. Latest update with Young Fiddler is this. He's been granted bail, 100k he had to pay, then his boys had to do 100k as well. He's not allowed to leave Australia, so let's see what happens. He's got caught in 2 months, so any girls in Perth, be careful, because Young Fiddler is now on the loose.
So based on these DMs, it looks like he has to put up $100,000 of his own money, and if he doesn't show up, he will pay that and get arrested into police custody. He is banned from attempting to contact his victims or make posts on his social media channels about the case. He must also remain in Western Australia, report in with the police on a daily basis, and put up a cash surety of $100,000 Australian money. He's stuck in Perth, Australia, can't leave. And I think that that makes sense. I mean, he's being charged with something extremely serious, so he should stay in the country until it gets resolved. And it's also smart that they said that he can't post to social media, because I don't know exactly what he would say, but he could try to defend himself. He could end up leaking some information and people can go and harass this girl. Now she's got to deal with more stuff on top of what potentially happened. I mean, it's not going to change the way that he's going to be charged, but when you have public perception on your side, given that you're famous, you're basically a YouTube celebrity, like that can go a long way. So it's smart that they're like, yo, listen, you can't talk about it. You've got to just completely stay disconnected from it, stay in Australia, and we're going to figure all of this out. So as far as my opinion, I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. I just know it doesn't sound good. And I feel like the justice system has to go about this in the right way, get the information presented, find out what's actually going on. And if he needs to be held accountable, hold him accountable. Like, it doesn't matter that I've liked his content, I've watched it. I'm not going to sit here and defend and idolize somebody. If they did something wrong, then that's life. There's consequences to those actions, and he's going to find that out. Now, if he didn't do anything wrong, then hopefully that will come forward in the case and he'll be able to move on with his life. But until all of that happens, we have no idea. Now, this leads me to something else I want to talk about with you guys, because I desperately want your opinions. I woke up this morning and I'm browsing Twitter, I see this, and I let somebody bait me into having an argument with them. Now, I'm not trying to defend young Philly, but I was trying to defend men in general because I'm tired of people making these different statements on Twitter about a whole group of people, whether it's a race of people, a sex of people, and they just label everybody based on one interaction. And I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. And I was in the mood this morning. And so I went at it with this person. Now, the original tweet was by somebody named Sensei who said, career-ending news for young Philly, how he's managed that then. He overcooked with this one, hashtag young Philly, hashtag chunks. Which I agree is kind of a crazy statement that he overcooked. I don't really know what that means, but there was a response by somebody named Sertashaz who said, even just the language men use when talking about essay and grape, etc., what are you talking about he overcooked? I don't think men actually take grape seriously, and that's why so many of them are so capable of it. Now, it's not the end of the world that some random person decided to make this statement, but I was in a mood today, and I just feel like I get that that person made a stupid statement, but he is one person. And for you to say that men in general just don't take it seriously, I feel like that's a shot at me. Like, that has nothing to do with me because he made some goofy statement. And I feel like this is a big problem with the internet and social media, is that we have an interaction with one person or a small group of people, and we immediately just label everybody. So in my response, I said, it's always weird when people make these broad statements based on one person. Why does that mean men in general don't take it seriously? Imagine if some women applauding Cardi B drugging men in the past, we put that on all women. It makes no sense. Now, my grammar on this was not perfect, but what I was trying to say was that in the past, Cardi B admitted that she used to drug men and then rob them. And there were some women that said, oh, go you, shout out to Cardi, women power. Like, they were all about it. And I said, what if we took that small group of women that said that and said, well, all women feel this way? I feel like most people would agree that it's not fair to label all women based on a small group of them saying something that sounds stupid. And in her response, she says, if 300,000 plus people can agree with this tweet, I would say that's because most people know what I said to be true. And the tweet that she's talking about said young men need to be socialized in such a way that grape is as unthinkable to them as cannibalism. And I just want to make it clear that I don't disagree that we need to bring attention to people that do shit like this, and we need to try to find a way to make it so it's not something that men are going to do. I don't disagree with that at all. I'm not fighting against that. And I feel like people get in this weird mindset where they just assume that you're fighting against a certain thing, when in all reality, all I'm saying is do not generalize an entire group of people based on a couple of them. That is not fair. And in my response, I went a little bit broad with the math, but we do narrow it down after this. I started out by saying 300,000 plus people out of 8 billion. So less than 0.00004% of people in the world agreed with you, so it's true. Or we can go based on the 335 million Twitter users, and it's around 0.008% of people on this app agreed. Imagine if we made assumptions based on numbers that small. And her response was, LOL, and how common is it for 35 million Twitter users to see one tweet? How often do you even see a tweet with 1 million likes? This is so weird that you're arguing with me about grape, dude. LMFAO. And this is what I'm talking. I'm not arguing with you about grape. I'm not arguing about something that's messed up. Clearly, I don't support it. All I'm saying is that you cannot generalize us, and people immediately try to twist your words and make it seem as if your argument is about something completely different. And I don't get that. So because I generalized it a little bit too much, I went back and said, arguing with you about grape. All I said was based on one guy's tweet. You can't claim that all men don't care about it. Are you actually, let's use your math then. 5.4 million saw the tweet. 300,000 liked it. 0.06% agreed. Feel better now? Maybe I'm the crazy one. It's possible. I don't know. I just feel like it makes sense. And what's even crazier is this is a black woman. So she has to know that black people have been labeled as a whole based on a small percentage of us so many times, right? Like, we do have gangs in our culture. We have people that are obviously not helping the black community in any way. They're bringing us steps backwards, but we're not all like that, right? And so someone's interaction with someone like that is then going to look at me and be like, well, he must be the same way. That's not fair because I'm not like that at all. And this is the same situation. Just because one man made a comment, it doesn't mean that all men agree with him, that all men feel the same way, because I definitely don't. I don't think that it's cool that guys go out and they do this shit to women at all. So it's not fair to put me in this generalized statement about men when that's not true. That's all I was trying to say as a point. And I feel like people just get so caught in their feelings that they just run in a weird direction with it. And this other woman responded to me and said, Cardi B drugged and robbed men who paid to violate her body. Why the F should we care? We can visibly see most men aren't taking it seriously by just looking at this app and seeing the vast amount of jokes in defense of him. Even you aren't condemning, just defending men. Which, I'm gonna be honest with you, completely confused me. So I just said, huh? Oh, so because someone paid her money for a service she chose to offer, we don't care what happens. So do we keep the same energy for women who choose to sell their body and have bad things happen to them? What a effing dork you are. I woke up and chose violence this morning. Obviously, I don't want anything bad to happen to women that decide to go out and sell their body or do any type of sex work. I'm just pointing out the fact that we don't look at it that way for them, so it shouldn't be any different for the guy who comes along and decides to pay them money. Does that not make sense? Apparently it doesn't to her, because her response was, none of what you just said is in any way comparable. If you're purchasing a woman's body for your pleasure, I don't think you deserve rights, and that goes for anyone who purchases a human being for their pleasure. It doesn't matter, any young filly still in jail right now for grape. Now, is this just me? Am I crazy, or does this not make that much sense? So she's basically saying that if a guy goes and finds a sex worker and decides to pay them, they no longer should have any rights. Whatever happens to that guy, it's not our problem. Like, he deserves it because he decided to pay this woman to have her body. But there's nothing wrong with her putting her body on sale. It's just not the same thing. How does that make sense? On top of that, you could tell by the last thing that she said that she feels like I'm defending young Philly, when that's not at all what I'm doing. Saying that you can't generalize all men based on one person's tweet, which has nothing to do with young Philly in the moment. Like, it's about his situation. But what I'm actually responding to has nothing to do with him. It's just the way that somebody perceived his situation. And now that turns into, well, he's still in jail, so haha, it doesn't really matter. What? I don't give a shit that he's still in jail. I don't know that man. Listen, I don't want anything bad to have happened to that woman. I'd rather all this be fake and some bullshit, because that means that no woman was assaulted, and that means that he gets to go on with his life. That's the best case scenario. But if he did something wrong, the man's gonna go to jail. That's just the way that it is. That shit doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. I'm not here defending him. But yet people have this perception in their head that just because you're not agreeing with them fully, 100%, that you just must be on the worst side of things. This is 2024 in a nutshell. And this is why I don't interact with people on Twitter a lot. I just post my own shit, and I kind of just keep it moving, or I respond to things that are about stuff that I like, and it's not like a negative connotation, because otherwise you end up with a bunch of dumb people like this that you go back and forth with. And I will not do it anymore. This was my reminder that this is a stupid platform. I'm not here to defend anybody. I don't know these people. I might watch people's content, but at the end of the day, I don't know them. I will never idolize somebody and defend them and fight to the death for them when I don't know what kind of person they really are behind closed doors. So that's just my opinion. Curious what you guys think. I appreciate you guys for being here, listening to my bullshit rants, and I will catch you in the next one, homies.